Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss the fair value method for accounting for investment. In the prior session, what we did is we looked at the three different classification for accounting for investments. And we said if you have no significant influence, and quantitatively this means you own between 0 to 20%, you would use the fair value method. No significant influence, you mark your investment to market. Here we're assuming there's a fair market value, and any gain or loss is listed on the income statement, or it goes through earnings. Then we looked at the other method, equity and consolidation. In this session, we will focus specifically on how the fair value method work. I will not do any mark-to-market accounting in this session. Mark-to-market accounting is covered separately in depth in other sessions, but today we're going to look at accounting for the investment using the fair value method without mark-to-market. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com.
My AI turns any lecture into a complete study system. You can create summary table, formulas, and example from each lecture. Flashcard builds from the lesson itself. A quiz build on the lesson. And as a bonus, convert any lecture into a portable short audio on the go. So it helps you with the retention. No noise, no generic responses, just clarity based on that specific lecture. Don't just watch, interact, test yourself, and retain the material using Farhat AI. Now go to FarhatLectures.com now and see how the AI can help you understand, practice, and retain the material.
Let's talk about what constitutes equity investment. Equity investment represents some sort of an ownership in another company. Now, this ownership typically shows in common stock. Common stock is, when we say stock, we really are referring to common stock. Equity could also be preferred stock. Preferred stock will have limited or most likely no voting rights. Also, equity include financial instruments such as options and warrant that allow acquisition of shares. Now keep in mind, just because you have equity, it doesn't give you ownership. Notice, for example, preferred stock have no voting power. It means that you have no ownership. So you have to understand, and we'll look at this point in a moment. To own, you have to own a company's shares. It means you have to have a voting power. You have to have a saying in the company. But this is what equity is. Equity does not include convertible debt securities. Those are debt. Although it says convertible to stocks, it's not. Treasury stock, redeemable preferred, those are not even equity, let alone they don't give you any ownership. So the key insight to remember, you have to have voting rights. And the only equity that have voting right is common stock. So first I told you what equity is, and I told you what equity is not. But when it comes to voting, to true ownership, you have to be able to own the stock. And if you have ownership less than 20%, remember you report the investment at fair value. Any unrealized gain or loss is recorded in net income or recorded in earnings. Now, although we will not emphasize this point this session, but this is an important point. Now let me show you the accounting for the fair value. And we're going to look at a complete example, but I want to first show you the accounting. First, when you buy the investment, the initial investment, just like any other investment in a sense of buying any asset, you would record it at cost, including legal fees. Initial costs include all legal costs paid, including commission, brokerage fee. You have to include that. So the typical investment journal entry will be debit to investment and investee, or debit and investment and equity, and credit cash common stock. Then this investment might pay dividend. Now dividend is only considered dividend to the extent of cumulative earnings. In other words, if the company makes a profit and distribute this profit to you, it's dividend. If they make $100,000 in profit and they distributed $80,000, all of that is dividend. If they distributed 100,000, all of that is dividend. As long as they're paying from the earnings, it's considered dividend. If they are paying above the earnings that they generated over the years, it's no longer dividend. But let's talk about dividend first. If they pay you cash and it's from earning, it's called dividend income. So you credit dividend income, and this is called non-liquidating. It means the company is paying you from the current earnings or the cumulative earnings. From earnings, that's fine. If the company pays you from something other than dividend, other than earnings, it's called liquidating dividend. Remember, dividend comes from earning, and you make an investment in that company to enjoy the earnings. If they're paying you something other than earnings, basically they're giving you back your money. So if they pay you in excess of earnings, so if the company will have earnings total of 100,000, current plus all prior earnings, and now they made a dividend of 150,000. Well, guess what? That additional 50,000 is not dividend, because if you made profit 100,000 over the years and you're paying me 150, it means 100,000 is dividend. The remainder is considered ROC, return of capital. It's a liquidating dividend. You're basically giving me back my money. Therefore, what I do is I debit the cash for 50,000 for that extra, and I will credit my investment. I would reduce my investment by 50,000. Why? Because this dividend is a liquidating. You're basically giving me back my money, giving me back my investment. And there's tax consequences to that. That portion is not taxable, but we don't have to worry about taxes in this course. Not for now, right? You'll cover taxes and CPA on the CPA exam and regulation. Then eventually you are going to sell this investment. When you sell it, you might have a gain or a loss. How do you determine the gain or the loss? It's the selling price minus the reported fair value. Now, if there's no fair value, we would say it's carrying value, whatever it's on the books for. And on the books should be carrying book value of, fair value, if fair value is available. If we don't have fair value, we're going to look at the carrying value. So we debit cash, credit investment. If we have a gain, we credit the gain. If we have a loss, we debit a loss. Now, the best way to illustrate this is to look at an actual example. Let's look at the acquisition. The investment is recorded at the purchase price plus legal fees. So when the company purchases, company A purchases $75,000 and incurred $7,600 in legal fees. That's a lot of legal fees for buying stocks, but sometimes it could be. It's a private deal. You will debit investment in investee $82,600 credit cash, or investment in equity. Whether you want to call it investment in investee or equity investment, it's up to you. This is an asset, investment in investee. Now let's assume the company made a profit and distributed $24,000 in dividend. Well, the portion from earnings is only $14,240. So they did not make a profit of 24, they only made $14,240, and that's the only earnings they have, whether it's current or accumulated and retained earnings. But they pay 24. What does that mean? It means the excess, the 9,760 is excess of earnings. It's considered return of capital. So what journal entry do we make? Well, we're going to debit cash. We received cash 24,000. We cannot deny that. We received dividend revenue. This portion here is 14,240, and that's from earnings. Then the 9,760, we would reduce the investment for 9,760. Now let's take a look at the year-end investment valuation. Well, we have to change the value to fair market, but we don't have any fair market data for this, so we're going to look at the cost. And remember what we did is we had a liquidating dividend, reducing the carrying cost. and investor does not record investee income because this is not the equity method. Therefore, the initial investment for this company was $82,600. We debit investment and investee. This is when we increase the investment. Then we reduce the investment by the liquidating dividend of $9,720. The ending value for this company is $72,840. Now, if we had the fair value, let's assume the fair value was 85,000 or the fair value was 70,000, we would have to make an adjustment. Once again, I am not marking to market. I'm just showing you how the fair value basic accounting works. From buying to receiving dividend to selling the investment. So this is the carrying value or the investment on the books as of the end of the year. Now let's assume we sold the investment. When the investment is sold, we have to look at what was the selling price minus the carrying value. For example, let's assume we sold the investment for $82,750. The carrying value is $72,840. We have a gain of $9,910. Now, how do we journalize this entry? Well, first, we're going to have to eventually remove the investment. So the balance eventually will be 0. Right? But let's look at what we do. We received cash of $82,750. We credit the investment, $72,840, because we sold it. Now it's go down to 0. And we credit gain of $9,910. Now, obviously, if we sold it for less, we will have a loss. So notice I kept it pretty simple, straightforward. I did not include mark to market. We will keep mark to market for later on, because when we focus on mark to market, we only have to focus on that specifically. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. An investor receives dividend exceeding the investee's earning. How is that excess treated? So we receive dividend in excess of the investee earnings. Well, how do we treat it? Do we treat it as revenue, gain, reduction of investment, or ignored? Well, it's not going to be ignored, right? We can take this one out. Is it a dividend revenue? Well, generally speaking, when we receive dividend, it's dividend revenue. And we can take out the gain because we did not sell anything. The gain is selling, therefore we can take out the B and D. So it's either revenue or reduction of investment. Since this dividend is in excess of the earnings, it's considered a reduction in investment or return of investment. Basically, they are giving you your money back. Why? Because they're giving you something of cash in excess of the earnings. It means they're giving you your money back. Now, the good thing about Farhat Lectures, if you are looking, if you're completing this on the website, you can ask AI to explain the topic, explain the correct and incorrect answer in depth, and create a similar MCQ to practice more. Whether you are a CPA exam candidate, CMA, accounting student, the best investment you can make is invest in yourself. No one can take that away from you. Don't shortchange yourself. Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional multiple choice simulations, true false, exercises, lectures, AI tools, and God bless.